When people think of imagination, when they think of creativity, the picture that often comes to mind, for me anyway, somebody sitting in a bathtub full of bubbles, dreaming away, and suddenly it hits them. And they jump up and they shout, "Eureka! I found it!" But you know, that's not how imagination usually works at all. T.S. Eliot, the great poet, said, "Good poets borrow, great poets steal." And imaginative people do both. I do, and you should too. I'm Joe Ty, CEO of Values Coach, and your coach for this course on the 12 Core Action Values. And today we're covering the second cornerstone of vision, which is imagination. We are born with this incredible imagination, this incredible ability to see things that aren't there. And yet, over time, we lose it. Now, I mentioned that T.S. Eliot said, "Good poets borrow, great poets steal." That is really how most creativity occurs. Oh, let's look at a very successful business, Amazon.com. Jeff Bezos, who started Amazon.com, Jeff Bezos did not invent the internet. Al Gore did that. Jeff Bezos did not invent the bookstore. We have no idea who created the first bookstore. But he was the first person to say, "Look at this new phenomenon of the internet. I bet we could sell books online." And that's how Amazon.com got started, as an online bookstore. He took two existing ideas and he was the first one to create that connection in a brand new way. Now, I imagine that he was walking through Target or Walmart one day and he looked around and he said, "I've already got an online bookstore. I bet we could sell anything online." And if you look at the evolution of Amazon.com and all the things they're doing, many of the ideas were borrowed or stolen from somebody else in a legal sense and created something brand new. And we can all do that. Jim March was a professor at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. And he had a theory he called the garbage can theory of intelligence. He said, your mind is like a garbage can. What you do is you open up the top and you pour in all kinds of good stuff. Things you read, talking with other people, things you observe as you're walking around the world. Put in all the opinions of other people. Put in all this good stuff. Close the top, shake it up, and watch what happens as all of this different information and these ideas and these opinions and observations begin to connect and ferment. And interesting things can happen. Now, unfortunately, rather than interesting things happening, for most of us, we tend to abuse our imagination. This beautiful thing that every 2-year-old has, and by the time we're 6 or 7, we begin to lose. How do we abuse our imagination? In 2 ways. First is worry. Worry is nothing more than abuse of your imagination. It is imagining something horrible that you don't want to have happen. And of course, the more you ruminate on those bad things that you don't want to have happen, the greater the tendency you're going to attract them into your life. A little bit of worry can be a good thing if it prompts you to action. Test anxiety, sends you to the library, good thing. Too much worry becomes paralyzing and toxic. The second way we abuse our imagination is with fantasy. We imagine, we're like Walter Mitty, you know, we imagine these wonderful things. We imagine ourselves being great heroes. But we don't do anything to make it happen. Now, again, a little bit of fantasy can be a good thing if it sparks your imagination, if it prompts you to begin to take action. But if all you're doing is sitting around, if I won the lottery, it is a waste of time and it is abuse of your imagination. Now, I have my own theory, and I call it it's in the workbook, I call it the vision hourglass. See, I think vision and imagination works like this. You have a very good picture of where you are right now. You know where you are financially. You know where you are in your career. You know the house you live in, the car you drive. You know pretty much, you have a pretty good picture of where you're at right now, or at least you should. You can also have a pretty clear picture of where you're going to be 10 years from now. I'm going to be living on a beach in a Caribbean island, or I'm going to be a millionaire, whatever it is, have my own business. You can have a pretty clear idea, or at least you can imagine a very clear picture of where you want to be 5 or 10 years out. What gets very fuzzy is that space in the middle. the big clear picture you have of today and of some distant point in the future, the ends of the hourglass, gets very narrow in the middle because you don't have a clear picture of how do I get there. That is where I think there is a black box that says, miracle happens here. And that's the power of imagination. It helps you visualize what that miracle is going to be. And we're going to talk more about visualization and vision in the next module. But for now, let me suggest one more thing. And that is to trust your subconscious wisdom. You know, very often our subconscious mind has leaped way out ahead of our conscious mind. And if you start paying attention to your dreams at night, you know, if you have a certain dream, write it down and ask yourself, what could this be trying to tell me? Interpret it in your advantage. You have the freedom to do that. Don't go see Freud. You know, just say, oh, that's what it's trying to tell me. And use it as a positive affirmation of your dreams and your goals. When you're sitting by a riverbank, you know, just thinking, dreaming, get your journal out. Start writing down thoughts, whatever comes to your mind. Julia Cameron, who wrote the book The Artist's Way, says you ought to get up in the morning and write 3 pages. It doesn't matter what you write, just write 3 pages. And after a couple of weeks, she said, incredible things are going to begin to happen. And I think that's because you are sparking this incredible, beautiful gift that we're given when we're born of our imagination. And one that we begin to lose somewhere right around kindergarten. But, as I've said, it is like any other muscle in your body, imagination is. If you exercise it, it grows. It grows stronger. If you abuse it, it gets weak. Okay, think about what you want to imagine. Where would you like to be 5 years from now? What would your dream be? And in the next module, we'll talk about how you articulate that dream.